Good morning, everyone, and welcome back to another video. In this one, we're going to be diving into my cash game locks for this Sunday's NFL main slate for the Week 9 here on Draftkings and FanDuel. I cannot wait to get into this one with you. Last night ended our showdown streak, unfortunately. The video was still okay. If you played Tevin Coleman at captain, you probably didn't do too well, so I apologize for the mistake there. But I got to tell you, NBA last night for our members on DFS-Squid was insane. The Draftkings lineup that I posted over there on the site, that took down GPPs. So anybody that was fortunate enough to be a member over there and be playing that lineup should have made thousands. So it was absolutely insane. We're going to do an amazing Sunday this week. We're going to have a great week. So I'm excited for NFL Sunday as always. And we're going to jump right into this one. So if you have not already, please do leave a like on this video. I greatly appreciate it as always. And if you have any questions, comments, concerns for me, please leave them in the comment section below, whether it's DraftKings, FanDuel, Yahoo, any DFS site, or season-long fantasy questions. I'm happy to give y'all advice when I can. Starting off here at QB, for cash games, I'm okay with paying all the way up at Russell Wilson, playing against Tampa Bay in Seattle. It's just a really good matchup, and he's probably going to hit his price tag, and that's really what I got to say about Russell Wilson. Personally, I'm going to be looking to pay down at QB. These QBs are not necessarily the best cash plays, but I think point per dollar wise, I think I can get away with playing Mitch Trubisky or Ryan Fitzpatrick. And the reason that I want to play one of these cheaper quarterbacks is so I can jam in some high-priced running backs. So we'll get to the running backs here in a minute. But I'm probably going to lean a little bit towards Trubisky here at $200 more. I think Fitzpatrick could obviously do better, but playing against this Philadelphia secondary, and I think this game actually has more of a shootout potential than the Miami game does. So for that reason, I'm going to lean Trubisky. I know it's going to be a low-owned play, but this is one of the ones I'm willing to make in cash. If we were to plug in Trubisky here, jump on over here to running back, it's going to allow us to jam in the guys that I need to jam in, being Christian McCaffrey and Dalvin Cook. I am locking them both into my cash lineup. I think that they're both going to go for 30-plus fantasy points. Christian McCaffrey playing against Tennessee. I shouldn't really have to go super far in depth. It doesn't really matter who he's playing as long as it's not Tampa Bay in week 2. Other than that, he's hard not to play. You want to play Christian McCaffrey in cash, even at $10K. I still think it's a very fair price, and I think he's going to pay off his tag. Dalvin Cook, on the other hand, playing against Kansas City. With what Dalvin Cook's done to start the year, playing against one of the league's worst running defenses, and actually with a backup quarterback in KC, I think it might help Minnesota a little bit more because I think that the game's going to stay pretty competitive. I think if Mahomes was in there, I could see Kansas City having a easier time. You know, maybe a 10-point lead or 7 to 10-point lead, something like that. I think with Matt Moore in there, I wouldn't be surprised if Minnesota was leading for a good chunk of the game and just ground and pounding with Dalvin Cook, who I think is going to break a long run in this game. But I definitely think he's going to put up one of these 28, 30 games. I don't expect a 13 or a 19 sort of game here. I'm definitely looking to play him in cash against that weak Kansas City run defense. One thing running back-wise to monitor is James Conner. If James Conner misses, I will be locking in Samuels into my cash lineup and probably in most formats. I wouldn't necessarily lock him in tournaments. I think he's fadeable in tournaments for sure. But if Conner misses, I don't expect to fade Jalen Samuels in cash. And he missed practice yesterday on Thursday, so Samuels is just 4K. If we were to go ahead and lock Jalen Samuels into the flex, make it a little easier. At wide receiver, I am definitely looking to I'm looking to pay down at wide receiver. I don't think that you're going to need to do this for cash, but I do want to mention Allen Robinson. Definitely more of a tournament play for me, stacking Trubisky and Robinson. It's just one of those things where, again, horrible secondary, and the usage is there. We're looking at a minimum of 7 targets a week. He's averaging more than 7 because he had that monster game in New Orleans, target-wise. But it's one of those things where if the volume's there and he's converting most of these targets into catches, it's hard not to like him in most things, but correlating him with the quarterback is definitely more of a tournament play. If we were going to talk about a couple of these mid-price guys, I definitely want to bring up John Brown. I think I've talked about John Brown every single week. I'm probably his biggest fan right now. Just for what he's done this year, I think he's gone for over 50. Yeah, he's still gone for over 50 yards every single game this year. He's one of like 3 or 4 wide receivers to do that so far this season. He's getting the volume. He's only 6,100 playing against a horrendous Washington secondary. It's hard not to like John Brown quite a bit at home this week. So I did want to bring up him. And then coming down a little further, this is where I'm going to be finding myself at wide receiver for the most part this week. Is this probably 4 to 5,500 sort of range. Danny Amendola has a great matchup against Oakland. He's been kind of inconsistent. I don't know how I feel about him in cash yet. I might be able to sneak him into cash because we're paying up for all these running backs and just pray to God he doesn't have one of these dud games where he just gets one target. I mean, if he's getting 5 to 8 targets a game consistently, if we never had these two duds, I would feel a lot more comfortable with it. But I do worry that maybe he just doesn't get the looks. It's scary, but I think Stafford really likes throwing to him. I think he wants to get him more involved. So I do like Danny Amendola quite a bit this week. I'm just not sure if I'm looking to play him in cash as of now. And then it's hard not to mention Deontay Johnson after what we saw in that primetime Monday Night Football game. It looks like Mason Rudolph just really likes to throw to Deontay Johnson. I know he only had 2 targets against the Chargers, but it's kind of like Danny Amendola. He's got all these targets, and then it's like a dud. And it sucks to see that dud because that just shows that they do have a really low floor, so that makes it kind of worrisome in cash. But I don't always love playing 2 Steelers in a cash lineup like this, but I think Deontay Johnson is definitely a decent cash play. So I did want to bring up him. And then one of the chalkier players I think this week might be Courtland Sutton. There's been a lot of people talking about him. I will not have any Courtland Sutton just because of Joe Flacco not starting. I think Sutton was really developing into one of Joe Flacco's favorite targets. So I will not be having any Sutton this week. Where are my Dolphins boys? Devontae Parker at 4,400. I do like Devontae Parker and Preston Williams, $200 cheaper. I don't really care which one you prefer. They're both getting very similar volume. Devontae Parker has higher fantasy points per game as of now, but either way, they're both playing the Jets. And that's part of the reason why I don't mind Fitzpatrick as well, because that Jets secondary is pretty weak other than Adams. So I'm okay with playing either one of them. And then I do want to talk real quick about tight end, because at tight end, I'm looking to pay down in cash. I feel like it's a little sketchier, but to jam in these 2 running backs, get some mid-price wide receivers, I'm probably going to be paying pretty cheap at cash, or at tight end in cash. Jonnu Smith, if Delaney Walker misses, is a good play. I'm okay with playing him if Walker misses. And then coming down even more, somebody who has a very low FPPG, but also is getting a little bit more volume now with Emmanuel Sanders gone, is Noah Fant. We have not seen a big game out of him yet. He has 1 touchdown on the year. That is his only double-digit fantasy point game. I'm not worried about this 1.6, 1.7 floor. I know I'm saying I don't like Sutton because Flacco's not in there. Flacco seemed to really like throwing to Courtland Sutton, though. I'm worried with this other quarterback that it might not be a good game for him to take shots at Courtland Sutton. I think that it's going to be a check down game to Noah Fant on some low A-dot throws, inside 10 yards, things like that. So in a full PPR format like DK, I'm going to like Noah Fant. I don't mind him in cash. I think he's a good play in tournaments as well. But he's a good salary saver for us here in cash. And then at defense, it's going to be the top or the bottom for me, Washington or Buffalo. Washington's defense at 1,800 playing against Josh Allen. It's kind of the same thing as it was 2 weeks ago when they were playing Miami, and it was like Miami's defense, I think, was 1,500, and it's like Josh Allen's going to make a dumb decision at least 2 times. He's going to make a dumb decision at least 2 times on Sunday, whether it's 2 interceptions, an interception and a fumble, a throw that should have been intercepted. He's going to make poor decisions at least 2 times on Sunday, and he will also get sacked at least 2 times, I think, on Sunday, even by Washington. So I'm okay with playing them at 1,800 and looking for 5+ points out of them. I think that that's an okay play. I'm also okay with paying all the way up at 3,800. The Bills' defense is not allowing much at all in terms of air yards to opposing teams and wide receiving or receiving yards, and they're not really doing much for the opposing quarterback either. So I'm okay with paying up for them. I'm also okay with saving the 2K and going down to Redskins. I think in cash I'm going to lean towards the Skins. That way I can continue to pay up for other players. But other than those wide receivers I mentioned, I'm going to save kind of where I finalize myself for the members on the site. But coming over here, Christian McCaffrey on FanDuel is just way underpriced. He needs to be in every single lineup. I think Dalvin Cook does too. These are my guys this week. It's just where I'm leaning. And I think that over here I think you can get Russell Wilson in over here too at 8,600. It's not the most attractive price for Russell Wilson, but I think it's possible to get him in with these 2 stud running backs. That's going to leave us an average of 5,450, We can come over to defense. And over here, I'm not really looking to pay for Buffalo. I'm probably looking to go down low again for the skins at 3K. It just makes sense for me in cash. So a lot of the same players over here, except I think you can get up to Russell Wilson. I don't think you have to correlate him with any of his wide receivers or anything like that. And then at tight end, if Cameron Brate and O.J. Howard – O.J. Howard got ruled out apparently. That's news within like an hour ago, I think. Yeah, will not play in Sunday's game. So that if Cameron Brate plays – I'm going to like Brate quite a bit, even at 5,100. If Brate misses, I don't even know who fills in for them at that point. Let's see. Anthony Auclair. I've never heard of these guys. If one of them's getting a start, it's a clear start for them at 4K min price tight end. I'm willing to kind of plug them in and take a shot on them. Probably not in cash. I'll probably just look for somebody else. But that is pretty interesting. I didn't realize O.J. Howard had already been ruled out and Brate is still questionable. I don't mind Jonnu Smith at 5,500 over here. I'm really not looking to pay up personally for Travis Kelce or Darren Waller here on FanDuel. I think those are more tournament plays, and it's pretty awesome to be able to call those guys tournament plays at this point. So that's something I'm always interested in. Whenever you can pay up for a stud like those two guys and call it a tournament play, it's pretty attractive. Up here at the top, though, we have the two Tampa Bay wide receivers. I cannot go without mentioning these two wide receivers up here, especially on FanDuel. Great tournament play, I think, is Jameis Winston. Stack him with Godwin and Evans. Maybe run it back with Tyler Lockett or DK Metcalf. I probably prefer Lockett to have a big game against Tampa just in terms of matchup. But that's a really interesting tournament play. That's something that I think is a really, really good play. That's just going to be kind of a low-owned stack. And then over here, where's Danny Amendola over here? I remember he was too cheap, though. At 6K, I do like Danny Amendola quite a bit over here on FanDuel. I'm willing to take a risk on Danny Amendola, even though he has that low floor that we've seen this year. I still think he's okay to play in cash because you beat Oakland through the air there, like 29th DVOA against pass. And it's one of those things where I'm willing just to take a slight risk on Danny Amendola's low floor in cash games. I'm not super concerned about it. That brings me to Stafford, obviously. Stafford, Galladay, Marvin Jones, Danny Amendola, TJ Hawkinson, all of them are in play for me. I like Stafford. I like all four of his main pass catchers. I'm probably going to lean Amendola and Galladay this week. I hope Starvin Marvin does great, but it's just kind of hard to call when he's going to have that big week like he did previously. I do like John Brown quite a bit over here as well at 6,200. I think he's just a little too cheap. So I'm kind of just all in on John Brown. I love John Brown every single week, I feel like. But where we do end up ultimately for cash will be saved for the members. So I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. I cannot wait to jam in Dalvin Cook and Christian McCaffrey in pretty much every single lineup this week. I'm hoping that stack of those two high-priced guys goes a little under-owned. I'm looking at that in tournaments too, and then maybe like a cheaper QB and a little mini game stack around it. So I can't wait to get into tomorrow's tournament takes video with y'all. I hope that you guys did very well on Thursday Night Football, and I will see you guys tomorrow morning with my tournament takes.